Alright, so now we're going to use the Canonical Moveset that I came up with to solve this puzzle and scramble it and all that kind of stuff. So this goes over the moves and rotations, 5-dimensional 2x2. So we're going to use these as a reference of what's considered a rotation and what's considered a twist. So look at the normal 3D Rubik's Cube here, or 3-dimensional 2x2. Rotations are basically turning the puzzle around, and it's not sort of messing up any of these stickers here. So rotations are basically moving the puzzle to a different side, essentially. And what this is doing is not messing up any of the colors on these sides. They're all staying the same, and we're just rotating the puzzle around to a different side. However, a twist is when you actually pick a side and you twist it like that. That's considered a twist, and you can kind of see some of these sides have been partially scrambled, and some of the sides are left solved. Similar to what I said before about the buffer layer, and how all the axes, some of the axes are correct, but some cannot be correct, which is also like these sides here. Twists are basically turning the puzzle, a side of the puzzle, to sort of move the puzzle to scramble and to solve. Rather, rotations basically turn the puzzle around like this, and this does not screw up any colors or sides. With this 3-dimensional 2x2 right here, we do not have any gyros. We don't use them on the actual 3-dimensional 2x2. Going to 4D, you can kind of see here, this is a 4-dimensional Melinda's to the full puzzle here. We've got rotations, full puzzle rotations, which are basically this. And you can kind of see all the axes, which are, inside, outside, left, right, front, back, top and bottom. The colors aren't getting screwed up on them. You can see that all the axes contain the same color. This rotation here, that's a full puzzle rotation. It's not screwing up any sides. This is a full puzzle rotation here. You can see it's still not screwing up any sides. These are still the same. This is when we also come to gyros. So if we gyro the puzzle once, we are doing this sort of algorithm here to move these stickers and bringing these, what used to be white and yellow has now changed to blue and green. And that's turning the puzzle 4-dimensionally and moving it around like that. So that is a gyro. That's what's considered a gyro. It moves the puzzle sort of differently, but it doesn't take one move to get there. It takes a sort of couple of moves to get there. That's considered a gyro. Now, a twist on this puzzle would be something like this. So you can kind of see that these axes here is not correct. This is yellow and this is pink. This is pink, this is white. This is white and this is purple and yellow. So these aren't correct. But however, some of them are correct, like the inside, the outside. The inside's the same, the outside, as you can see, this is still all blue and this is still all green. So that's considered a twist. If you looked at, Melinda's Canonical Moveset video, then you can also look at that to sort of guide you with this, with the moves on this puzzle. Now we're going to look at the 5-dimensional Espy 2x2x2. Normally, it's best if you're sort of new to hypercubing, going off, have sort of a fair knowledge of the moves on Melinda's 2x4 before sort of getting the grasp on this. She's got a good video on going over all the canonical moves with this puzzle, so there's the link in the description. So the first thing we're going to do is the full puzzle rotation. Now this does not screw up any sides or any axes or any of the 10 hypercells. So the first one we're going to go over is basically this one, the left and right sides, and we're doing this 1 and 2, and that is one full puzzle rotation. And you can kind of see nothing has been sort of moved or scrambled, nothing's been twisted, it's just been moved around to a different side. So that is one. So the left side like this and the right side like that. So that is a full puzzle rotation for that one. That's one of them. You can also come to the front and like this and do the same thing here. So you turn in this front side like that and this back side or like that. So that's another one. So see how nothing's been, this is a full puzzle rotation, nothing's been screwed up. That, and if you were to do it on sort of like this view, you would do it like this. So you go like that and like that. So it's technically turning it like that and like that. So there's one of the other full puzzle rotation. There's also full puzzle rotation, and it's separating these two tesseracts here. So you're going to take this tesseract and you're going to take this one like that and move this colour that's on this side, you can turn it to this inside like that. Just like that. So that's one, and you're going to do the same for this one. But for this one, you're going to turn this side into the middle. Like that. And that is another full puzzle rotation, and you can kind of see that nothing's being screwed up. So again, so we take this off, this side here goes into there, so we just do that. And this side here goes into there. And there we go, that's it again. The last full puzzle rotation is the full puzzle gyro. However, this is not the full 5D gyro. This is just a gyro to actually move just these 4-dimensional axis stickers and move them from, like, you know, this inside to the outside. What we're going to do is for the full puzzle gyro of the Espy 2x2x2, so we're going to start off by going, basically the colour that's on the, if we hold it like this, so the buffer's now horizontal, the colours on the top here and the bottom will go on where the white and yellow would be, so it will be blue and green with these colours now instead of white and yellow. Start off with a stack from the left side, bring it to the right, then we turn these two halves and bring them out like this, then we bring this right side and turn it back to the left, stack it to the left. Now we're going to take this half, take it off, and we're going to go 1, 2 on this side and 1, 2 on that side, bring it back onto the right side like that, turning it like this, bring this side out, bring this side out. Now we're going to do a buffer rotation, so we're going to take this and do that. It turns the inside cell like that. Then we're going to bring this back like that, and do another buffer rotation, another inside cell rotation like that, turn it like that, and now the last move we do is we take this off and go 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Put it back together, and this is the full puzzle gyro. You can see that our white and yellow has been moved to the inside and the outside. And that's how we do a full puzzle gyro. And that is all of the full puzzle rotations of the Espy 2x2x2. And this does not change or alter any of the faces with different colors. All the axes of the 10 hypercells of this puzzle all contain the same color. Now, before I go over twists of the Espy 2x2x2, I want to just make sure of one thing, actually understanding what it is you're twisting. If we go back down to Melinda's 2x4, you would have seen that in the Canonical Moveset, it moves half of the puzzle. So you're moving at least 8 cubies all the time when you're twisting the puzzle. The twists normally are 3-dimensional rotations to turn a side, instead of a 2-dimensional rotation you normally see on a 2x2 when you turn a side. So with this one, you have a 3-dimensional rotation to turn a side, doing it like that basically, to turn a side on the 40 2x2. When you're doing that, you're doing 3-dimensional rotations, for example on this yellow, to do a twist. And that's, you know, a Z rotation. Same with this, you know, that's another twist. So getting a grasp of how this rotates will understand you when you go another dimension up. So on the 40 cube, you're rotating cube rotations to turn aside. On this one, doing a twist requires a 4-dimensional rotation of this whole puzzle. 4-dimensional rotations, what I mean is actually just like this, 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 this. Moves like that, 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 and that. All these ones here. And of course the gyros. So this, you know, classes a rotation. This is to turn one side on the 2 to the 5. This whole gyro here is to turn one side on the 2 to the 5. So knowing that all of the twists contain on this puzzle, a twist contains a 4-dimensional rotation of all of the tesseracts on this puzzle. So 1, 2 to the 4, doing a gyro on this counts as one rotation. But we won't go too far ahead, we'll just focus on the simple moves first and then we'll go to gyros a bit later. So we're going to look on the right cell moves, and this also counts for the left as well. So all the moves performed on here, you just need to mirror it and to perform the moves on here. The aquacell moves is taking one of them, aquacell moves, taking it off like this and turning it one hole like that, putting it back, and that is a twist. So you can see now the upside contains not the same color. It contains half of green and half of purple. And so it also, you know, if you looked at this one, this is the outside cell. This is purple. This is blue. Remember, these are touching, but not virtually. So this contains half of purple and half of blue. That's not right. So that's a twist. And you can do it again. Will take you to this. And that's sort of a double rotation there. Same thing on the Espy side. Like that, like that, like that, and like that. So those are those moves. All the 4-dimensional rotations on this 2 to the 4 here, on this one singular 2 to the 4 hypercell. Also do moves where you can take these greens here and do a 4-dimensional rotation like that, which will turn like that, and you can kind of see here this contains half of red, half of blue, half of red, half of blue, and on the inside you can see it contains half of red and half of green. So you can take these, move it in, that's one twist, and it's double rotation. Now you can do the same on the Espy side. So greens here, turn them into the middle. That's one, middle. So those are those rotations. You can also do it now, but with the top. And these top colors, you can move them into the middle, like that. That's also another twist. Another one. You do the same on the Espy side. Colors go into the middle, like that. So those are those ones. Of course, all those moves that was stated before, there's inverses of those. You know, with the aqua side, you can take that off. Now instead of moving these ones in the middle, we can move these ones in the middle. So we just take that side, move into the middle. So that's also another rotation. That's just the inverse of the ones we first did. You can do all of that. Just taking this side in the middle. Same with the Espy side. Now we're going to take this side and bring it in the middle. Like that. And if you want to do, like, for example, taking this aqua side, take not just the top, but the bottom and move it in the middle. You can do it as well. So it's in the bottom here, these pinks, go in the, can you move them into the middle? So like that, basically. That's, you know, one. Take the bottom side, move it into that middle. Two. Same with the Espy side. Bottom here to the middle. So moving those in there. Next one. Just these ones down here. Go into there. Some additional left and right hypercell moves consist of these rotations. So you're going to take the acro hypercell and you're going to flip it like that. Put it back on the puzzle. That's another rotation you can do. And you can also do the same on the Espy hypercell or Espy tesseract. Flip it like this. Kind of see it's kind of moving these white and yellow sides as well with these pink ones. So that's another one. So now also when you're swinging it the right and left like this, you can also swing it like this. So you can take it off like that, turn it like that. That's also one. And then you can do the same on the Espy hypercell. Take it off and swing it like that. It's also another rotation of that, of these left and right sides. So that is all those rotations. Now we're going to go over the front and back sides. Now these technically are the same, all the moves that you've learnt so far with the right and left, but we're just going to turn it like this now. So that, just making sure that this is still your front and this is your back here. So all those moves that we were demonstrated before can also be applied with it like this. So this is now your right and left, but making sure that this is kind of your front and back kind of things. Basically, let's say if this was the right back side, speaking of, could, you know, do stuff like this, moves like that, and the same thing here, moves like that, and so you can also take this off, sort of moves that you're moving into the middle. You can do the exact same here, so you can take this side here, these colors can go in this middle bit here, so you just got to hold this buffer bit here and do it like that, go like that. So that's a rotation there, and then it's like you take these middle again, and of course the inverse of those, this side, and bring it to the middle. There. It turns that back side. And then, so here, bring it into the middle. Same thing also applies if you take this off and move the top sides into the middle. You can do that. Take the bottoms, put it down here, and move them into the middle. You can do that as well. So that would be this. So it moves those bottoms to the inside and it puts the puzzle like that. You can also do that as well. That's also canonical. All the moves that we've done so far with the left and right can be accommodated to the front and back. Same thing on, same with your front side as well. Stuff moving those into the middle, back, bottom into the middle. Everything really, what you've learnt here and here can be applied to front and back. And also the moves that you do when you basically swing it like that. That's a rotation as well. And same for the left side here, you can swing it like that as well, and that turns this side. and also swinging it this as well. So you can take this like that, swing it around like that. That's also a move. Same on this side, swinging it around like that. It's also another move. You can kind of see it moves, you know, these 5D stickers to the sides here. So you could do the exact same moves that you've learnt, but turn the puzzle like this, and you'll be essentially moving the front and back sides. So now we move on to the up and down sides. So the up sides is counting this purple hypercell and this pink hypercell down here. We're going to take basically this whole top half and separate it like this. Now this has to be swung one double rotation like that. So these are the only moves that can be available for the top and bottom. So it's just swinging it around twice, and that's the same for the bottom as well. So if we swing that around twice, that applies for the bottom. So those are the only moves that are available for the top and bottom hypercells. Now we're going to go over the inside cell rotations. So the inside cell, as stated before, is basically separated by this buffer layer. It's still touching, but not virtually touching. So the inside cell is basically the one that's touching the buffer. The inside cell moves are pretty much what we call buffer rotations. So buffer rotations consist of moving the buffer plus this row of pieces here and this row of pieces here. So this 3x4 kind of row here. So buffer twists are basically just turning the inside, and this is a double rotation. So it's basically turning this like that and this like that. And that's what you call a buffer rotation, and that twists the inside cell around like so. That's one rotation you can do. The other rotation you can do, what we call a super axial twist. What that does is it's like the axial twist on the Melinda's 2-4. It's separating this half down here and turning it so that these two cells are touching. These blue sort of sides touch. So we're taking this and swinging it around like this. And we're going to do an axial twist with this sort of 2x3 section here and this 2x3 section here. So we can take down here, do an axial twist there, and then do another axial twist here, and make sure to resolve that. And that is a super axial twist on this side, and that moves the inside cell like this. So you can do that. So bring that around like that, twisting this 2x3 like that, and twisting this 2x3 like that. Now it's very important to keep track of what you're doing, because if you twist this the other way, like if it was there, for example, and you twisted it back like that, that is not a canonical twist. That's kind of just, you know, it won't resolve. That's not legal. So you got to make sure that when you do it, you got to do it, sort of what you're doing. Like, okay, so I'm moving these down. So I need to move this down, and I need to move this down. So you need to move them both down. So it's very important that you get the grasp on that, because if you're doing it when you're solving the puzzle, then it can lead up to issues later on. We won't count outside twists because it's essentially just, we don't really use them as much when we're sort of solving, but really if you do this, for example, you're also turning the outside as well. If you want to sort of isolate the outside, you can sort of just do something like, you could just turn this, keeping this here, you could just turn it, it's really just essentially turning it the same way. For that, If you were a super axial twist, you could do it like this, and isolating this, so this half, this section here, and this section here. If you want to turn them up, you could go up, up, and up on this. And I mean, really, that's essentially just, yeah, just turn the outside cell, but you know, I mean, like essentially counteracting the inside as well. So it's not really, I mean, you can look at it that way if you want. So we sort of don't really worry about it as much as what we do with the inside cell rotations. Now we get into the more technical kind of twists, which is the posterior and a-posterior sides, and this is the new 5D sort of sides you get with the puzzle. With posterior and a-posterior, posterior is the one that's in this slice, in this kind of section here. These moves are sort of similar to the buffer rotation, but now we're going to do it along here. We're going to hold it like this, turn, so with these two, this kind of move here, with this 2x5 section in here, I'm going to turn it like that twice. And that is a posterior cell move. And that turns the posterior side. Counteracts with the a-posterior side, which is this red here. That is one of the posterior moves, but also you can do this posterior move. Now this can, I found out it's kind of a bit tricky with the buffer layer. Might be sort of risky when you're solving the puzzle because you've got to remove the buffer layer. So it's all about just bringing that buffer layer back to where you originally put it, because you don't want to move it to different axes, because that will just, you know, screw up the puzzle when you're solving. So if we were to move the buffer layer like that, bring it just sort of off the side a little bit, we would turn it so that we're matching these two colors here and bring it like that. And this is another super axial twist. So we're twisting this section and this section, and if we would turn them both up, that's one and that's another one, bringing this back down and bringing the buffer layer back in, that is another posterior cell move, and that turns this. For it does counteract with the a-posterior side, because what you could really do is, if you wanted to see it the other way, like for example this section, and this section, then that could be, I guess, your a-posterior sort of cell move. If you would like, let's say, to move them down, for example, you can move this section down, move this 2x2 section down like that, and then this section down like that. Then you can call that your a-posterior cell move. And remember just to bring that buffer layer back to where it exactly was. I guess that could be your a-posterior move if you wanted, but we don't really kind of look at it like that, because moving the posterior counteracts with the a-posterior. So those are the posterior and a-posterior cell moves. So now we get into gyro twists. Since gyroing on the 4D puzzle counts as a rotation, a gyro on one hypercell counts as a twist. One gyro on this aqua, for example, can count as one whole twist. One twist, which is like 7 or so moves long. There's a lot of gyroing with solving this puzzle. It's really important to get these moves down, these gyros down correctly, to do the right rotations, the right gyro rotations, because sometimes if you don't do them correctly, then it can lead to issues when solving. With gyro twists are only used on the right hypercell and the left hypercell. You do not use gyros on any of the other hypercells. For example, you never gyro on the front and back, because that is an illegal gyro move. When you gyro on the front and back, it is considered sort of not one move rotation. It's more like it sets it up to a valid 5-dimensional puzzle case. And there are 4 gyro rotations. The standard gyro that we all know, and the inside-out gyro, and the inverse of those gyros. First off, we'll just go over the standard gyro that we all know. Basically move the purples to where these whites are, hiding this hypercell. So the way we do it, stacking from left to right. So from this, stacking left to right. Now you're going to open up here, bring it to the back like that, and then stack right to left. And now R2, then B2, then U2, and then R2. What that has done is it's moved whatever that was on the top has moved to the right, which is on here, which was the purples. Let's move the whites actually down to the bottom here, the bottom cell, and it's also moved whatever was down here to the left cell, which was pink. So it's basically moved everything around. So we put that back on the puzzle, it's done that rotation. So that's one gyro, and you can perform it on the left hypercell as well if you wanted to. So that's a gyro twist. As you can see, it's twisted one side 4-dimensionally. The other gyro twists is, I'll actually go over this one that I'm doing right now in a second. This one, the second one I want to go over is the inside out gyro. Now this one is the same as the standard gyro, but it has one extra setup move. And then at the end of the gyro, we undo the setup. So what it does is it moves whatever on the inside, which is orange in this case, and it brings it to the right side of this sort of hypercell here. So you can see all these whites will become orange. Do a setup move, so it's basically like this. So we bring the middles, which are these, and bring it to the top here, where these purples are. So we're going to come up like this. So that's our setup, and we're going to do the standard gyro algorithm, which is, you know, sticking left to right, open up like this, and then right to left, and then we go R2, B2, and then U2, and then R2. And now once we've done that, we undo our setup, which is bring these top and bring it back into the middle. Now that has moved whatever that was in here, which was orange, and brought it out to the right. And whatever was here, which was on the right side, has moved to the outside, which was white. So that has moved now to the outside. And remember, these are touching, but not virtually touching. And whatever was on the outside has moved to the left, which was red. And we just move it like this and bring it to the puzzle, and that's also done a 4-dimensional rotation on this right hypercell. So that's 2 gyros. Performing the gyros on the left hypercell, I normally pick it up like this, and I move it like that, and then do the gyro. So that's your standard gyro and your inside out gyro. Now the last 2 gyros I want to go over is the inverse of those 2 gyros that I showed you. The inverse standard gyro that I do brings the purples and will bring them to the left side of this aqua hypercell. So to perform an inverse standard gyro, R2, U2, so do U2, so I've done a U2, and then B2, and then R2. Then I'm going to stack left to right. Now it's very important at this stage, I'm going to move these sides and bring them into the middle. So these on the front here is going to come into the middle like that. And now I'm going to stack right to left. And that is an inverse standard gyro twist. And it's moved, the purples that were originally on the top has come to the left. And what was originally here has come down to the bottom, which was yellow, and what was originally on the bottom has come to the right side of this hypercell. We've done that, we put it on the puzzle, and that is inverse standard gyro twist on this right aqua hypercell. And you can also, like I said, you can perform these gyros on left hypercell as well. So you just take it off, turn it 90 degrees like that, and then perform the gyro that you want to do. The last gyro I want to go over is basically the inverse inside out gyro. Now that sounds like quite a lot to take in, but it's essentially the inside out gyro that we've learnt before, but the reverse of it. We hold it like this. So what this gyro is going to do is going to bring what's ever in the middle, which is orange in this case, and bring it out to the left side of this aqua hypercell. Every time we do our inside out gyros, we always want to do the setup move. We've got to always take our middle cell and bring it to the top. So we'll do this, bring the middle cell to the top, and then once we've done our gyro, we undo setup so that these top comes back into the middle. What we do is we go R2, U2, and then B2, and then R2. Stacking left to right again. Now, like I said in the last gyro, we want to close from the front into the middle, so we'll do that, and then stacking right to left. Now we have done the gyro from here. Now we're going to undo setup. So these are our top pieces. We bring them back to the middle. And now once we've done that, we've successfully performed an inverse inside out gyro. We'll turn it like that and put it on the puzzle, and that is an inverse inside out gyro twist on this right tesseract, or this right hypercell. So like I said, you can perform this exact same thing on the left hypercell, but that's the 4 gyros that you need to learn, the 4 gyro twists that you need to learn to perform sort of moves on one of the hypercells. So that is all the moves in my canonical moveset for the Espy 2x2x2 puzzle. If you come up with any more interesting ones, then feel free to let me know in my Discord server. They are all the canonical moves that I've come up with for solving this Espy 2x2x2. So that is it with my canonical moveset of the puzzle. Come check out the final video in the series when we go over the scrambling and restarting of the puzzle.